Welcome in, Marshfield members. You don't know me yet, but we will know each other soon, I'm sure. My name is Peter Ryman, and I am your new Director of Instruction at the club. I'm looking forward to a great year. I'm going to be putting together some great programming for you, clinics and the like, and also some video work as well. So this is the first of those. So I'm coming to you from my studio here, and we're going to start basic today, okay? You know, in the spirit of kicking things off, we're going to start with the basics, and we're going to look a little bit at the grip, okay? How you should be holding the club, and also your setup. What I want you to remember today is with both your grip and setup, you need to have an ability to be mobile, okay? You need to set up to a ball in a way that your body is capable of turning effectively, and you need to hold the club in a way where you are capable of moving that club around you in a very effective way, okay? And a lot of us don't do that, I think for a couple of reasons, but really the primary reason I think is comfort, okay? I think that when we first pick up a club, we pick it up in a way that it's comfortable to put in our hands and just kind of feels normal, okay? And it's not necessarily a way that's going to allow for maximum mobility of the club head, right? So, you know, I'd say most of us kind of get here and we, you know, kind of let our arms hang down and we get into this position maybe where our thumbs are somewhat pointed out and we're like, yeah, let's go ahead and put our hands on the club now. And we kind of end up with something like this usually, where our thumbs are kind of down the line, right? And this club is very much so in the palm of my hand. You may even, you know, do a 10-finger baseball grip on the back end of it, because we play a lot of baseball, usually most of us, but we don't necessarily play a lot of golf when we're growing up, which is unfortunate. We should change that, right? But that's not necessarily the right way to hold the club. So what I want you to look at is your grip, and I want you to see is the grip in my fingers. Okay, am I holding the club in my fingers? Okay, if I were to go ahead and unfold my hands, does it look like this club now is resting on my fingers, as it is right here? Or does it look like it's more in my palms, perhaps? You know, and check with both hands, but it needs to be in your fingers, because that position will allow for maximum mobility. Here's how you can find that, okay? This is just a simple way I like to do. I like to do this. So go ahead and just, you know, get into a little bit of a setup here and just hold this club down with your right hand in a way where the toe of the club is pointed towards the sky. So it would look like this from a face-on perspective. It would look like this from a down-the-line perspective. So get this club where the toe is kind of pointed towards the sky, and this grip is now right below kind of your left arm. And let that left arm now just hang from your shoulder, okay? Right like this. You'll notice my fingers are kind of pointing to the ground, and my left wrist is pretty flat, right? There's not a lot of breakature or whatever. It's just relaxed and hanging down, okay? Now, go ahead and just grip that club now, like so, and then let it fall back down. Okay, let yourself just unhinge it back down to the ground. And you'll notice a couple things. A couple things have happened when I let this club hinge back down to the ground. So, first, my left thumb is over the right side of the club here. If you're a lefty, please reverse this, right? But left thumb is over the right side, and my left thumb kind of points up now to some extent towards my right side, okay? The other thing I want you to notice is as I open my hand, the club is in my fingers. And as I mentioned before, that is essential if you want to have that maximum mobility of the club. Okay, so that's your left hand. Your right hand, as you go ahead and put that on, you need to ideally do one or the other. You need to overlap or interlock your index finger of your left hand and your pinky of your right hand. Now, I don't really care which one you do. I personally interlock. I think most people interlock, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right grip. And in fact, I would caution you, if you are an interlocker, not to stuff those two hands together and get webbing to webbing. If you do that, it does a couple things. Your grip pressure is going to get way too strong. You're going to hold the club way too strong. Okay? And another thing is the more you stuff that right hand in, the more you're going to put that club into the palm of your hand, and then you're not going to be able to move that club around as effectively as you need to. So do not just stuff that webbing into webbing. I want you to barely kind of let them touch there, right? And that ensures that this club now is in the fingers of my right hand as well, okay? So, and you'll notice when you do that, a couple other things, right? So this right thumb is, again, it's going to kind of move up the line then of your of your right arm, and it's probably going to point somewhere over your right side as well. And I like this little checkpoint. I put a little bit of white tape on my finger here just below the index finger, okay, the knuckle of my index finger. I like to see that white tape from a down the line perspective just point right back towards where the camera is right now. So if I'm teaching you and you're struggling with your right hand, I might put this on you and I might take a look at you right from that down the line perspective and see, can I see that white piece of tape on their index finger? Because a lot of times I can't for people. You know, they start getting their hand too under, and then all of a sudden I can't see that from a down the line perspective, and that white tape really starts to disappear from sight, okay? Or you might go the other way. You might get your right hand way too much on top, right? But want to be able to see that a little bit from that down the line perspective. Now, what I have here, this grip in my fingers, I have here is the ability to really move the club around. And there's a lot of chatter in modern golf instruction about the importance of rotation in the golf swing. You know, and as that correlates, making a big turn as that correlates to creating club head speed. And I don't really agree with all of that, honestly, because if your hands aren't on the club in the right fashion, you're never going to create a lot of speed, because really your speed comes from your ability to hinge and unhinge a golf club. There are more examples of great players with shorter backswings that absolutely hit the snot out of the ball because they use their wrists effectively. There's been many examples through the year, but you know, someone that comes to mind right now is Jon Rahm, okay, the #1 player in the world. He has a pretty short backswing. Go ahead and watch him next time he's on television. He's playing, I think, the Players right now. But go ahead and watch him. You'll see he makes a short backswing. And I just want you to take note here as I make a little swing myself, gripping it in my fingers. And I'm not going to excessively turn. I'm going to make a very limited turn here, but I am going to try and feel pretty handsy and really try and hinge and unhinge effectively. But small turn, okay? You'll notice I turned so little that I didn't even fully uncoil and get my hips pointed towards the target. Small turn there with a 7-iron. I'm still getting that 7-iron out there, 160 something. That's pretty darn close to as far as I hit a 7-iron anyways. I think my 7-iron is about 177, 180. That ball was 169, okay? So it was pretty close anyways, folks. What you do gain with rotation, you gain a little bit extra for sure. You might gain that little extra 10 yards, but you also really gain consistency. So, as we talk about rotation and its importance for consistency in the golf swing, you first and foremost in your setup need to set up in a way where you can actually rotate effectively. So, what I like to look for is a couple things when you set up to a ball. I like to see your feet so that they're not too wide, not too narrow. Too wide limits your ability to be mobile and turn and rotate your body. Too narrow, you're going to lose your balance. You're going to sway outside yourself. That makes it very hard to control a low point. So go ahead and get your feet about shoulder width. Somewhere there in shoulder width is great for most of your irons. Your driver, you're going to be a little bit wider because you're going to be creating so much more speed with that longer club. You need to support that with a base. But with your irons, you're going to be about shoulder width. And from there, we're going to do a couple things here so that we find the right amount to kind of bend over. You're going to bend from the waist, okay? Slight flex in the knees, not too much, just a slight flex in the knees. You're going to bend from the waist. I want you to let your arms just hang from your shoulders onto your thighs right now. You're going to bend from the waist until your fingertips get just above the tops of your knees. And then you're going to stop. And that right there, folks, that is a really good stock golf posture, especially for something like a mid-iron in your hand. If you got a 7-6-5 iron, this is going to be pretty darn close to as much as you should be bending from your waist. What that does, you're not over bending, right? Which again makes it really tough to turn. You're not under bending, which then puts you in some really strange spots. What you gotta do with your hands is put you in a nice comfortable position where you can still really maximally rotate your body back and forth. And also, take note when you bend from the waist. I don't want you to be super rigid. You don't need to emphasize your posture and your back. This is called an S posture. You can see that my back kind of makes like a little bit of an S down my spine there. When you get really stiff like that, you can't turn. Okay, it's really hard to turn with a stiff back, so relax everything. If you look at the best players in the world, it's very common that you actually see a slight little curvature in their upper back when they set up to a ball. Okay, it's because they're relaxed, because you need to be relaxed to be able to turn effectively. Okay, so if you remember anything from this session today, it's you need to have the ability for mobility in your golf swing. Okay, with both your grip and your setup, you need to do both in such a way where you can move the club effectively around yourself and comfortably. So grip it in your fingers, okay, not your palms. Grip it in your fingers, and then with your setup, set up in a way where you're athletic but comfortable, and you can still turn very easily. Hopefully this makes sense. If you have any questions, please come see me. I'm really looking forward to helping each and every one of you with your golf games. It's going to be a great year. I got a lot of tips, a lot more where this came from, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you, and taking your game to the next level. So please don't be a stranger. Please come see myself. We'll get you on the range, get you squared away. And we got warm weather right around the corner, so hopefully we'll be back outside in just a couple weeks here. But reach out, and we'll see y'all soon. Bye.